Well, welcome to another episode of the New Adam podcast with Men in the Mirror. I'm Ryan Reeves. I'm here with Brett Clemmer. Hey, man.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm okay. I just saw the new Avatar.
Is it as bad as I hear?
Yeah, can we pivot to a movie? Can we be a movie review channel for a while?
Yeah. We'll call it the
man. Well, not the New Adam pod. Yeah, something.
Yeah, whatever.
Something,
yeah,
and name
Rotten Pumpkins.
But well, it's funny because James Cameron is like a great storyteller. I mean, he's for our generation. Like, I was driving home with my boys, being like, "That's the guy that did Terminator. I don't know what happened." Like, kind of thing. Well, I will say my boys are 14 and 11. They liked it. My 11-year-old said he was getting bored. I mean, it was like 3.5 hours.
Oh my word! That's just like a vanity project. It feels like, doesn't it?
That's the best word for it, because everything in the movie, if you know anything about James Cameron, everything he loves, it's like a little man cave movie.
Yeah,
like he loves the ocean. It's just tons of whales, all this stuff. He just loves this world. And I realized it's a lot of great CGI. We did the 3D glasses thing, the real D, and that was kind of fun. But that's fun for like 45 minutes. Right. I don't think I've ever been so bored just sitting there, and that parent moment where you just have to suffer it out because your kids are enjoying themselves. So,
oh yeah, we've all sat through
the stress. All sat through it. At least it was. I mean, it could have been a Disney movie or something.
Right. There could have been princesses and snowmen.
Yeah, could have been.
And a mindworm song.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. No, but the movie was fun. I mean, it was fun. It just felt like it's just a lot of old boomer hippie spirituality stuff.
Yeah,
it's the mother god. They even see the mother goddess at one point. And you're just like,
man. So I have a confession to make. I have not seen any of the Avatar movies.
Okay,
and I feel like somehow there's something wrong that I haven't seen them, but I've never seen one.
I've only seen them in the theater in this 3D way. I've seen all three that way. The first one was because it was a phenomenon.
Oh yeah.
And the next one, it was like, okay, that first one was at least interesting to watch. Like, we'll do it again. This time it was more like, hey boys, do you want to go see David or do you want to go see Avatar?
Do you want to go see an animated Bible movie, or do you want to see a CGI science fiction fantasy flying whatever those people are?
Yeah, Na'vi. Yeah, the Na'vi with the guns and bow and arrows.
Yeah,
and they get to like hold on to whales and ride in the ocean. Yeah, they picked Avatar.
Yeah.
So, but it's fun. It's fun. How was your Christmas?
It was quiet this year. I got adult kids, and they didn't come home. Nobody came home. Son and his wife always go to north to where her family is, because there's lots of cousins there, and that makes Christmas really fun. And took my grandson, and then my daughter and I had just been in New York. Did I tell you my daughter and I went to New York for a weekend?
No.
Took my adult daughter, she's 31, and we went and spent 48 hours doing everything we could possibly do and still actually sleep. And we had it.
Had you been before to New York?
Well, I mean, I used to live up in Boston, so and then in Connecticut, so I've been to the city a fair amount. And she's been a couple times, but we went to see the Harry Potter play on Broadway. She bought tickets for us, which was really nice, and then reserved our hotel on points, and so she's my travel agent now. But we saw everything, man. The Met, Times Square at midnight.
During Christmas, right?
Yeah, walked through Central Park, went to Rockefeller Center, Grand Central Station.
Wow.
Like we hit the high points. So
did you join any ice raids?
No ice raids, no snowball fights off the bridge or
off the bridge like Elf.
Yeah. So we did see people ice skate though. So, but it was a blast. It's also fun. Just my daughter and I we have a blast together. We're like two peas in a pod. She's my alter ego, I think, sometimes.
Yeah. So. Yeah. No, I get that with dads and daughters. A little mini, It's always fun when your daughter's a little mini me, because like they're different enough that they wear it better than you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She wears it way better than me.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
Well, I wanted to talk today. What are your thoughts on being judgmental?
I think I judge judgmental people, I think.
Okay. Those
Yeah, no, I
pricks.
mean,
Yeah.
judgmental people are a pain, right? Because they're they're not fun to be around, and often the things they're judgmental about are you're kind of like looking at them like, what, really, you're talking about this? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny how we always pick it up in other people, but we don't see it in
right?
ourselves very easily. I mean, the "don't judge me" is got to be like the one of the most American favorite verses
Oh
possible.
yeah,
It's because we only take that verse, "Do not judge lest you be
right,
judged," and take it all the way out of context, and live in this free state of zero judgment, zero opinions.
right,
Um, but what's funny is, like you just said, like we actually always are coming up against other people's opinions, and we always feel a certain amount of judgmentalism in certain people around us.
oh yeah,
The person who's always complaining or nagging, the Karen, whatever, all these words we have. Yeah, it's funny because I was just doing a little talk about this in front of a church here locally, and they asked me to do that verse. They're like, do the don't judge one, because they were going through the Sermon on the Mount. And it's a fascinating verse because, like, I looked at it, years ago. I think I preached on it once. This time it really stood out, though. My favorite thing that I noticed when I was looking at that verse was, um, Jesus says, "Judge not, lest you be judged," and then the very next thing he says is, "Don't cast your pearls before swine or give good things to dogs,"
wow.
which is it's this almost the exact same breath. It's almost a proverb. It's like
That's a
it's contrast.
that's a different. I mean, that if you think of it, if you think of those things together versus separately,
Yeah.
you know,
And if you carry on a few sentences later is where he says, not everyone, like, have discernment. Not everyone who's going to like claim to say, Lord, Lord, is going to actually be with me.
right,
Judge the people. So he's actually saying, don't judge lest you be judged. And then he goes on to say, take the plank out of your eye.
right,
And then he gives a whole couple of paragraphs on how to judge people
yeah.
the right way.
Well, the plank and
And
the speck, I think, is one of those things that gets misused a little bit.
yeah,
You know,
right.
it's not that it's not that you have there's worse things about you than about somebody else. It's that you're talking to somebody else about something that's in their eye while you have something in your eye. Like,
You're both skewed. Your vision is skewed, but yours is so hilariously skewed, and yet you're still pointing out the small skew.
right,
You're all sinners.
right.
Right, exactly. And I
Yeah,
remember
like
I was
it's like when you're driving down the road and you're being an idiot, and then somebody cuts you off, and and you're like, that guy doesn't know how to drive.
yeah. I'm actually I have a little a note keeping file on my phone for article ideas, because they're always pop in your head like at random times. I got to stop late, and the one happened yesterday. I was coming home early from the gym, and it was actually just that. Is somebody either behind me or to the side of me was doing something like way too aggressive to get to work on time or something, I think. And like the other drivers around him were visibly annoyed by their like trying to like get out of his way and this kind of thing.
Yeah,
And so it's just this very jerky person. And then all of a sudden, the first responders lights came on and they started coming up behind us. And suddenly he cleared, everyone cleared, the entire road stopped, and the real business was
the
at
real
hand.
emergency. Yeah,
The real emergency was at hand. And it was just this interesting contrast of so much of what drives our judgmentalism, what drives our selfishness, our ego, is mostly, as the plank and speck thing says, it's mostly our perspective.
right.
It's that we judge our own problems as ginormous. I got to zoom around people and possibly cause an accident. When the real emergencies, when those come on, that's when it all comes back into focus.
Yeah, yeah.
One,
I find that the other thing that I find is that the things that bother me the most about other people are a window into my own failures and
Yeah.
problems. You know what I mean?
No, I hate that part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like what?
I
You got
well, I mean, I don't know actually. Yeah, tell us your sins. Well, I mean, driving's a great example, right? Somebody's impatience or somebody's lack of a spatial awareness, you know, oftentimes I'll find myself like I was like I'll give you a great example. Kimberly and I got in a car accident a week before Christmas,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
somebody T-boned us at a four-way stop. We had stopped, and it's pretty busy. Like the sort of everybody was taking their turn, right? And so
Yeah.
the car to my right went, and so after I had stopped behind somebody, so they went. So then it comes around, the car to my right went, and it's my turn. I go, and I'm 2/3 the way out across the intersection, and my wife goes, "What are you doing?" Not, and I realize she's not talking to me. She's looking out her window, and the person
Mm.
behind the person that had just gone, didn't didn't I don't know if they got distracted or what, but they stopped and then they went without like looking to see that there was actually somebody already in the intersection and
Yeah.
T-boned us. And so I'm like feeling pretty self-righteous. And then we got a new car, not a brand new car, but we got a new car for us. And I'm driving it just a couple days ago, and I pulled right out in front of somebody, and they're laying
Did
on.
you get a second accident? Did you get a second accident?
Luckily, I didn't get an
Oh,
accident, but
okay.
and they're like laying on their
But
horn,
yeah.
and I'm like, "What's going on? Like, what do you?" And my first instinct is to like get mad, you know, like, and then I realized, oh no, I'm the one in the wrong. I think how many times do we
Mm.
do that? Like we react to somebody else's behavior, and then we don't. Sometimes we don't even realize we're the ones that cause their behavior, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I think that as younger, I've sort of picked up on something, at least in my life, which is there was a different type of judgmental I was when I was younger, which was a lot more of that I've got a lot of sap in me, and
yeah,
I think I might be better than you. Like that, that young 20-year-old, like that there was a judgment. Like I remember being in seminary in my 20s and just I would eye roll something, just be like, "Oh, that theology." I'd read a Wikipedia article on it or something. And that but the young me was that type of better than. And I think that's what most people read Jesus as saying is don't act like you're better than people.
right,
I think the tone of the verse though is the other form of judgment, which is it's your own insecurities. That's kind of what I'm reflecting on my own self. It's like you said, you always hear it back. It's like you want to point out the problem in someone else. I mean, remember the Ted Haggart, story, like whatever year, he was running, legislation against a lifestyle that he himself was leading.
right.
Or that, like I said, it's the guy who gets T-boned and is self-righteous and then pulls out quickly. I didn't think I was a very unsanctified driver until my son told me. Um, we were it was one Sunday. I forget why, but we stayed home and watched on streaming. And I said, "Hey, bud, come on out here." I think it might have been around Thanksgiving. That's why. And we started watching it, and he was going down, one of Paul's letters, and he was just saying, like, here is this. I think it was fruit of the spirit. He just said, example is how you live this way and how you live that way. And my son just out of nowhere goes, Dad, I think you're the most unsanctified when you're driving. Just threw that at me.
Our kids notice, man.
Yeah. Well, and here's what's interesting is my first thought was, no, I'm not. Like, oh, come on. Like, I'm not that bad. Like, and that's a plank spec.
Yeah.
Because my first, on reflection, my first reaction was, oh no, I don't want my son seeing me in a bad light. I need to always stay the hero, or I need to always stay the one who's doing the right thing. And I wanted to deny his silly act. I mean, it was more of sort of a in passing accusation. It was a statement of fact.
Yeah.
It wasn't even an accusation. And so, but I wanted to preserve, right? And so that type of judgmentalism is I think more closer to what Jesus is getting at, because he's saying you like rear up at people that ironically you're the one that needs to do the same. And yeah, that's my, yeah, I wouldn't say I've necessarily improved at my driving. I mean, I live in Florida, so
True.
I'm not aggressive. I'm just, people annoy me, I guess.
Yeah.
That might be what it is.
Yeah, I think Florida drivers are bad. Like
But have you,
I grew up
go
in
ahead.
Boston. Like people there are super aggressive, but they're like consistently aggressive. You know what I mean? So like you
Yeah,
always
yeah,
know
yeah.
what they're going to do. Whatever the most aggressive thing is, that's what they're going to do. But down in Florida, man, people are just unpredictable. You never know what they're going to do. So,
No, in fact, have you heard about this new show called Florida Man?
oh, I've heard about the Google thing, Google Florida Man, and you see what
Well, yeah, that's one. They've turned the meme into a
oh,
show.
that's
It's I think
hilarious.
it's on it. My brothers today wrote me because they are the two bros that they left to go away to college, and they were like, "Oh, I don't live in Polk County, Florida anymore. This is nice." And my one brother moved to North Carolina, and he realized, "Oh, I have 4 seasons.
Yeah.
That's nice." So he plopped down there. My other brother, a job landed him in Birmingham, but they watched this show and they were like, "This feels like home, Florida Man," because they find the most. You're not from Florida, so maybe this doesn't. I mean, you've seen it, but I mean, the most rednecky like Polk County,
Yeah.
like outside of Orlando, folks. And the story. One's about a guy that's been bitten multiple times by an alligator. Another is a guy is like either bet or he's offered money to cut one of his toes off. It's just,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
it is our world.
That's crazy.
We,
Well,
that's Florida. But
thinking about the about what Jesus was saying, the other thing that strikes me is that he really got frustrated with the Pharisees all the time.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I got to think that part of his, judge not stuff was directed at them.
yeah, absolutely. It was directed at them. In many ways, the Pharisees are the poster children, maybe a little bit too characterized, but they're kind of the poster children of you're doing the same, but you're judging people for not following the law.
Yeah.
And then you can't even keep the basics, so you add a lot of new crap on top of it that's easier to keep,
Right.
and then pretend you're keeping the harder
actual
stuff,
law. Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
The actual law, which is so dangerous. We all do this. In fact, that's probably one of my most common comments to people is they're like, "Oh, what about this view?" And I say, "Well, is that even in the Bible?"
Right.
And it's funny how if you just say that, like, is that rule even in the Bible? This happened to me. Actually, I'll give you one. This happened the other day. Ever since Richard Pratt, I have it just in general, my personality, I don't tend to do like super bow my head and squint my eyes closed. He wrote a book called Pray with Your Eyes Open, and it's very important part of my life because he just talks about part of the point of the joke or the title of the book. I shouldn't say the joke, but the title of the book is the bowing our head and closing our eyes is a modern thing. It's not biblical. It's not. We're not commanded to do so in the Bible. Put it that way. And it even pray. And I brought this up, and someone was just laughing. He's like, "You don't close your eyes," and I say, "Well," I said, "I'm listening. Like, I'm praying too. I'm not twiddling thumbs." And they just started teasing me about it, and I just made a joke. I said, "Well, hold on." I said, "Bowing your head, closing your eyes, and praying before a meal is not even in the Bible itself." I said, "I'm just happy we prayed." And it was just sort of this sort of banter. There was nothing really bad intended, but it's just funny how like our instincts are all pharisaical. They're always, "Oh, you didn't dress up for church enough."
Well, I don't you think it's like this deeper desire to be self-righteous, to find our righteousness in our own thought, in our own, well, first, of course, in our own actions, but even like in our own thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like this is where people in the modern day, like this is where the thought police comes from, right? Like they're just like, am I thinking the right things? And this is what underlies every environmentalist or social justice warrior, or, it's like my thoughts are more righteous than your thoughts, because I'm worried about the environment, or I'm worried about social justice or whatever it is. And if you're not as worried about it as I am, then you are a less moral person than I am. But that's really a lot more about your own desire to be moral.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to be seen
To
as
be
moral.
seen being moral,
Yeah.
even. Yeah. Yeah. Which is driven probably by a sense that you're not.
Right.
And driven by a sense that there's something more fundamentally wrong you don't want to face.
Yeah.
It's judgmentalism is not I'm better. It's often I'm afraid I'm like you.
Right.
And that's a scary question, you know. And I've talked about it off and on. It's not really a big secret, but you know, I've dealt with drug treatment, addiction treatment in my life. And my first thing you walk in, you're like, I'm not like these people.
Well, I can imagine.
Yeah, you're like, I don't belong here.
Yeah.
Like that person was snorting paint thinner. Like, no, I'm not like them.
Right.
Like kind of thing. And turns out some of their behaviors might have been more extreme in certain cases. In some cases, mine were, depending on what part of life we're talking about.
Yeah. But I think I don't think you have to go to a drug treatment program to see that. I think people are constantly looking for somebody that's a little worse than they are so that they can compare themselves and say, well, it's that there's that passage, right? Like, thank you that I'm not like this sinner.
Yeah, praying. Yep. Yeah. A friend of mine went to the Holy Land one time, and he always used this analogy. He said he went to the Wailing Wall and he was just observing, Jews praying, and of course they're all wearing black and bowing ritually as they do. He said one guy walks up with the step stool, wearing all white, same rabbi clothes, but all white, puts the stool on the ground, stands on the stool, and then starts doing the same prayers. And he's just like, so you're just a few inches closer to God, I guess. Wow. And just the whole thing is just like the epitome of, like, I just need to be a little bit above these guys.
Right.
Well, and I think that's, that ultimately is what it comes down to, is a deep insecurity of, I hope my sins aren't that bad. And when you see your own sins being lived out, one of the interesting things, again, with the drug treatment stuff. Yeah, you're right. You don't have to do that to see it. Some of us are just dumber. Took more of a, oh, you belong here. But the next step is once you get into the acceptance of it, you're like, oh, we're all the same, like deep down.
Yeah.
Like how we lived it out, where we come from. I actually walked away with more of an appreciation for all the twists and turns of my life that weren't terrible, because I was around people that had been through.
Yeah.
Everything seemed to just be, snake eyes for them. And so, but the end result was, this is what I ended up leaving when I did the talk in the church about judgment. I said, I think the answer to being judgmental, or the way to deal with it, is to get curious about it. I think that doesn't sound scary, right? Like, get curious about your judgment. So I think a lot of us, when we realize, okay, I've got a little bit of a judgmental spirit sometimes, we shut it down, right? We do a lot more of like, oh, I felt that, just move on, like stop being a jerk. But what I told the congregation, I said, stop, and then also go, why? Because I think that it's the self-reflection piece that has been the most rewarding in my life, is going, okay, I see this flaw. Don't just stop the flaw and move on, but go, how did I even get there? Like, what led me there? And in most cases, in almost every case, it's some like little insecurity. It's like, I want my son to think that I'm a good dad, so I'll lie and pretend like I'm a good driver. It's always something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that idea, that curiosity, using curiosity as a, what's the right word? Like that should be your countermeasure to
countermeasure. Yeah.
It's like a countermeasure. It reminds me of that.
Well, they always say, like, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it reminds me of that. You've seen that Ted Lasso clip that's viral about the dart game. Have you seen that?
Oh no, I haven't.
He's talking about he I don't want to get too into it. He's playing this big jerk on the show, and they're playing darts, and the guy like challenges him to a bet related to the show's theme, and so he's down to his last turn, and he's got to get two triple 20s and a bullseye to win. And he starts talking about how he was bullied as a kid, and he realized that him being bullied wasn't about him, it was really about them. And then he talks about how they weren't curious, they didn't really want to know him, they just wanted to beat him up. And so then he's calling this guy that he's playing a bully. He's super rich, the guy that he's playing. And so he says, for instance, if you were curious, you might have thought, hey, Ted, have you ever played darts before? And then I'd say, yeah, every Sunday afternoon since I was 16 years old with my dad until the day he passed away, in the local sports bar. And then, and as he's telling the story, he hits one triple 20 and then the next triple 20 and then the bullseye. And his little signature phrase is barbecue sauce. So like, every Sunday afternoon with my dad till he passed away, and then he throws the dart, and as he throws it, he goes, barbecue sauce, and it is the bullseye.
I've heard that's a good show. I haven't subscribed to Apple Plus though.
Yeah.
I was mad because Apple Plus has the Charlie Brown movies, and they won't sell you the movies anymore. You have to subscribe to watch them, so I can't.
Well, Apple is the hegemony. Apple and Google, right?
So far,
yeah. Hey, the other thing I was thinking of is, the opposite of judgmentalism, I think, is probably, or a counter. Curiosity is one of those things, but humility, I think, is the other one.
Yeah, very much.
And I've been thinking, like, people say, have you ever heard that phrase, humility? People say humility doesn't mean thinking less of yourself; it means thinking of yourself less.
Yeah,
I don't think that's,
I think, was that Lewis?
I don't know who said that. I mean, it's if it's Lewis, I don't want to say it's not true, but I don't think it's complete though. I think humility is thinking.
No, I agree.
I think humility is thinking of others less, not in the sense
thinking of others less. Yeah,
like not in the sense of like not caring about people, but in the sense of not comparing yourself to other people.
Yeah, the turn of phrase works if thinking of yourself less is not a numerical thing, right, but a intensity thing.
Yeah.
Bring the intensity of yourself down. That's fine.
Yeah.
But
I think if I see people that I see some people that are super content and super humble. And one of the things I notice about them is they don't really care that much about how they compare to other people. Like, that person's on their road, you're on your road. Their righteousness, their morality, that's between them and God. I'm not the morality police. And I think a lot of the extreme, like all the political stuff we see now, is totally driven by people on one extreme or the other, judging everybody else that doesn't. That's different.
Exactly. It's purity culture. It's this purity culture of, not only do you have to hold the views of the party that we are in, whatever side, but you have to be a perfect representation of those views.
Right.
And if you say, well, I'm not sure about that one or that issue, then you go, oh, I guess we're not a full ally.
Right. And the people that don't think like we do, they're enemies. They're not just fellow travelers trying to figure it out. They're actually bad, evil, wicked people.
Yeah, Elizabeth, the first line, very famous one. She goes, "I do not wish to make windows into men's souls." Though I don't think she said that. I think someone else next to her said it, but still, she gets the credit. And it's a good line, because that was the problem with the Puritans in her day, was they were going, well, we want to make sure people are worshiping purely.
Right.
And she was just like, that's a word I can't justify. Like how am I supposed to say, oh, you've now crossed into that line?
Oh, that's interesting.
That's between them and God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the deal about finding these balances with judgment too is, probably the world has a little too much mental health jargon out there, but one of the ones that I think is good is affirmations, because for people that speak negatively to themselves, you're like, I'm stupid, I'm an idiot, I'm like it is cognitive behavioral therapy to counteract that by going, no, I'm not, I'm competent, no, I'm not. And if you do that enough over time, you do retrain your thinking to stop being so negative. Really great tip. Awesome. See a professional if you talk down to yourself that bad. But the point is like our brains do work by jerking it slightly out of its rut, if that makes sense. It's like if you talk down to yourself, you go, no, I'm not. Like I'm a son of God. I'm wonderfully made. Like those work. This is one of those. It's like, I'm being judgmental. Like, you need to pull over and say, no, I'm not. Like, why am I judgmental? I need to be humble about this. Like, I could be confident, but if I'm confident, but I'm also insecure, and that's causing me to be rude or look down on other people, well, that says more about me, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I think also it's like just telling yourself the truth. Like we all, like Paul, right? Romans 7, the things I don't want to do, I keep on doing. The things I want to do, I don't do the things I want to do. Like, that's honesty. That's just saying, yeah, actually I am pretty screwed up. But I know that Jesus loves me. I know that God can save me from this body of death, from this, built-in hypocrisy that I seem to have in my sinful state. So you can be honest with yourself without beating yourself up, right? You can say,
Exactly.
yes, I have an addiction, but that's not my identity. That's just something that I need to deal with, that I can work on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm going to work on it because that's what the Lord wants me to do.